So he's thrown into prison, and then in verse 20 it says, Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph. Did you notice the first word in verse 21? He was thrown into prison for doing the right thing. He had chosen the best part, and because of it, because of the world in which we live, he is now going to be punished. So if you've ever done something really good and had bad consequences occur to you for having done the right, you're in pretty good company in those situations. Look at verse 21. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So once again, he's living his life in such a way that it's getting the attention of the people in charge, where they're recognizing this is different. This guy is not like all the other prisoners or all the other servants. Something's different about him. And look at verse 23. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, meaning Joseph. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. So the keeper of the prison's like, I want things to run smoothly here. You just take charge of everything, Joseph, because it's going to go better if you run it, because the Lord's with you. Now you get into chapter 40, and you get this introduction of two new characters into the story of the butler and the baker of Pharaoh. And we're talking the chief butler and the chief baker, who get thrown into this same prison. And they're pretty downtrodden, downcast. And so look at verse 5. They dreamed a dream, both of them, each man in his dream, in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And look at verse 6. Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. Now, what is the temptation for Joseph? What would the temptation be for you and me as mortals in this situation? Once again, you get these decision points, these pivotal moments of eternity, where Joseph could sit there in that setting and say, they had a rough night. They look really sad. Well, welcome to prison. That's what you expect down here. Or you can take the Christ-like approach, and that is to turn outward and recognize they're hurting. They're struggling with something, and then try to help the situation get better, which is exactly what Joseph does. So he asks them some questions, and they give the answer, well, we've dreamed these dreams, we don't know what they mean. And notice his response at the bottom of verse 8. Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. Notice he didn't say, oh, you dream dreams? I'm a dreamer myself, and I know how to interpret them, and I will interpret your dreams for you. Notice, Joseph is going to be the one to interpret the dreams, but he acknowledges the source of the interpretation. He doesn't recognize the gifts that God has given him as being self-generated. He's not saying, oh, I'm actually really good at this. He says, God can interpret them. Tell me your dreams. And they tell the dreams, and Joseph perfectly interprets them with this, the number 3 coming into both of them. With the butler, 3 days, you're going to be reinstated. The baker, 3 days, the king's going to hang you. You're going to be executed. And both of these dreams and their interpretation play out exactly like Joseph told them it would. But then the butler forgets him. And so we think, okay, well, that was quick. He's going to quickly get out of prison. But the butler completely forgets him when he's reinstated. And keep in mind, this is the chief butler, a guy who's serving and right there by Pharaoh and could put in a good word for Joseph, and he forgets Joseph. Forsaken, overlooked, We hid, as it were, our faces from him, so to speak. You're seeing symbols of Christ coming back into this story over and over and over again in various ways, and some are stronger than others. But it never seems to be easy for Joseph. Look how long. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years. You like that word, full years. So it's 2 more years. And we don't have any of those stories. What's going on down in prison for 2 years? How wasted do you feel like your life is becoming at that point? As you're Joseph, you're 28 years old and 29 years old. You're in the prime of your physical, cognitive, mental capacities of life, and you're wasting away in prison is what you could very easily conclude if you want to have your life feel more like a tragedy. But not Joseph. He's holding on to that faith. He's trusting God.